Been looking at Imam Razi's tafsir under the ayah 111 of the second Surah Al-Baqarah, and we looked at Imam Razi's, and we focused on the end bit of the ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that Hatu burhanakum in kuntum sadiqin, bring your evidence if you are truthful. And Imam Razi says under that ayah, المسألة الثانية دلت الآية على أن المدعي سواء نفيا أو إثباتا فلا بد من الدليل والبرهان. So he said that anybody who makes a claim, whether the claim is negative or positive, فلا بد, they must bring in or give evidence for their claim, otherwise their claim is null. And I said the fala buddha, the must here is the rational must, and I'll come back to that at the end of this. And from this, Imam Razi also deduced that, or he says that this ayah is a telling evidence, or telling evidence against the error of those who talk about taqleed. And taqleed, as we saw, is following someone without evidence. So in that sense, it contradicts this ayah. But I said that this only applies when a person has a knowledge. But if a person doesn't have a knowledge about certain thing or certain topic or certain field, then they must ask someone who is knowledgeable in that field. That's not called taqleed in that sense, or at least not the taqleed which is Imam Razi is denying here, because it is impossible for a human being to know everything about everything, so they must follow the expert in certain field, even if they are expert in other fields. And this is true of religious matter as well as non-religious matter. So today I'll move to Zamahshari, Imam Jarullah Zamahshari's Tafsir al-Kashaf on the same point. And Zamahshari actually makes the same point, and I think although obviously Tafsir al-Kabir is huge, but this point he got it from there, Imam Razi, I think, because I haven't read the whole Tafsir Imam Razi's Tafsir, but whatever I have read, I've always found that basically includes what Imam Jarullah Zamahshari says in Kashaf. So all Kashaf is actually in Tafsir, in Imam Razi's Tafsir, and then he adds on it, obviously, because Tafsir is huge. That's why it's called Tafsir al-Kabir. Jarullah Zamahshari's Tafsir, on the other hand, is only in one volume, but it is actually very important Tafsir, especially from Arabic linguistic viewpoint, not just from the intellectual viewpoint. Anyway, let's look at what Imam Jarullah Zamahshari says in this ayah. Imam Zamahshari basically says the same thing, and as I said, Imam Razi basically paraphrases him. So he says, Hatu burhanakum, bring your evidence. So under that he said, Halummu hujjatukum, bring your evidence, ala ikhtisasikum bidukhul al-jannah, that you are going to go to paradise alone. In kuntum sadiqin, if you are truthful, fi dawakum, in your claim. So and then he goes on to say, وَهَذَا أَهْدَمُ الشَّيْءِ لِمَذْهَبِ الْمُقَلِّدِينَ. Imam Razi said وهذا أصدق الدلائل على بطلان مذهب المقلدين. Imam Mahshari said وهذا أهدم الشيء لمذهب المقلدين. So they're saying same thing. This is the most devastating. He said this is the most devastating evidence against the school of those people who believe that taqleed is something basic. And then he goes on to say what Imam Razi said, but in slightly different words. وأن كل قول لا دليل عليه فهو باطل غير ثابت. وأن كل قول. So let's look at this a bit. Every one, كل قول. So every utterance, okay, لا دليل عليه, for which you can't bring an evidence, for باطل, that is untruthful, غير ثابت, unproven. So if you utter something which includes a claim and you can't provide an evidence for that, then that claim or that utterance is baseless, is false, it's baseless. And that's what Imam Razi said as well. Now, one thing which we have been talking about is Imam Razi said that although Jarullah al-Mahshari doesn't seem to use those words, but it's implied by what he says that Imam Razi said whoever claims he must bring an evidence. So I was talking about what this must is last time, and I just said that it must be rational must, and we'll look at that. Imam Razi and Jarullah al-Mashri, their tafseers sort of imply what I'm going to say, but they don't explicitly say it. But I found in one of the more contemporary tafseers the rationale for this must, and that's the Tafsir al-Sa'di, and I'll look at that now, and then we'll wrap it up. So this Tafsir al-Sa'di from one of the Saudi scholars, from, I think he is not alive anymore, but he lived not long ago. وقالوا لن يدخل الجنة إلا من أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وقالوا لن يدخل الجنة إلا من كان هودا أو نصارى تلك أمانيهم قل هاتوا برهانكم إن كنتم صادقين. So he writes under this, and I'll just focus on what is our topic. He said وَهَذَا مُجَرَّدَ أَمَانِي. So they claim that they will go to paradise is just their own wishful thinking. غَيْرَ مَقْبُولٍ. It is unacceptable. إِلَّا except بِحُجَّةٍ وَبُرْهَانٍ. Except if they can bring in evidence, or so if you don't give an evidence to support your claim, then it's just your wishful thinking. But if you are truthful, fatu behind kuntum sadiqin, if you're truthful, you must bring an evidence. And the next, what he said, the next one, that's why I brought in this. It sort of gives the rationale of why a person who makes a claim must bring in evidence, and the nature of must. And I said last time it's the rational must, and this Sadi's what Sadi says supports that. وهكذا. Similarly, كل من ادعى دعوة whoever makes a claim, لا بد أن يقيم البرهان على صحة دعواه. لا بد, the same word which Imam Razi used. لا بد, he must, she must. يقيم البرهان, establish an evidence, an argument for على صحة دعواه, in support of his or her claim. وإلا, if we say that no, we can make claims without supporting them with evidence, وإلا فلو كلبت عليه دعواه, if we just make a contrary claim to what a person is claiming, وَالدَّى مُدَّيْنْ أَقْسَمَ عَدَّى بِلَا بُرْهَانٍ, and another person claims something which is just the opposite of what that person is claiming and without evidence, then so لابد أن يقيم البرهان ولا سيد. وإلا, if a person doesn't do that, فلو كلبت عليه دعواه, if his or her claim is turned against the person and somebody makes a contrary claim without evidence, they wouldn't have anything to bring against them. So that's the rationale for them. Let's look at it a bit more close. So that's the rational must, as I said last time. So if you make a claim, the claim is positive or negative, doesn't matter. Claim sort of brings you or catapult you to. So when you raise a claim, that the action or act of raising a claim sort of catapult you to onto what we call a space of reasons. So making a claim, you start a chain reaction which releases the whole debate into a space of reason, where you are obliged to, in the sense I will just explain, you must provide reasons for your claim. And if the opposing party doesn't accept this claim, they must provide counterclaim why this claim is not sufficient or not good enough, etc. Until the debate is somehow settled, or if it cannot be settled, you can say, okay, it is inconclusive. We try to convince each other, but we weren't able to convince. But we have to go home. Whatever, we will pick it up again. Okay, so just the act of raising a claim sort of catapult. it's sort of seems like the most appropriate word I can recall, you into space of reason. Or another jargon which philosophers use these days is called, it releases the rationality rationality, potential of everyday speech or something to that effect. Well, and what it means is that after that you are, sucked into, or you have thrown yourself into this mysterious field of reasoning, wherefrom you can't extract yourself except giving evidence and listening to the counterclaims and things like that. And if you refuse to provide, you make a claim and you refuse to provide an evidence. So what Saudi says is that وهذا مجرد أماني غير مقبولة إلا بحجة وبرهان فأتوا بيان كنتم صادقين وهكذا كل من ادعى. So everyone who makes a claim, كل من ادعى. So Saudi says that everyone who makes a claim كل من ادعى وهكذا كل من ادعى دعوة لا بد, must, لا بد, they must لا بد, they must provide evidence. Why? This why we we raised last time as well, and answer to this why is sort of implied in what Imam Razi and Imam Mashari said, but Saudi actually makes it explicit. So وهكذا كل من ادعى دعوة لابد must أن يقيم البرهان على صحة دعواه. Why? Because he said وإلا because if you don't provide evidence, then it means that if somebody makes a claim exact opposite to your claim, a counterclaim which is exact opposite of your claim, وإلا فلو كلبت عليه دعواه, counterclaim, and he says that this claim is correct, without evidence, you won't have anything to say against them. So that means, in a sense, a person who, that's what Saudi is saying, a person who makes a claim but refuse to provide evidence sort of forgoes his right to rationality, in a sense, in that instance anyway. And so if somebody just makes the exact opposite claim, they wouldn't have anything to say against those people. And so in a sense what Saadi is saying is that if somebody makes a claim, refuse to provide evidence, they are sort of committing what philosophers call, or linguists call, performative contradiction. Because in a sense, you are not, even if not in so many words, you are actually saying that, well, you must accept my claim without reason, but I'm not going to accept the exact opposite claim if you make that without a reason. So that's what come through Saadi's formulation. Let's read it once more and then we'll finish it off. وهذا مجرد أماني. So this is just wishful thinking. It's غير مقبولة. It is unacceptable إلا بحجة وبرهان, except if you bring in your evidence. فَأْتُوا بِهَا إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. Bring it on if you are truthful. وهكذا كل من ادعى دعوة لا بد أن يقيم البرهان على صحة دعواه. So similarly, anyone who makes a claim, they must bring evidence for the correctness of their claim. If they refuse, then we can just make a exact exact contrary claim, exact opposite claim, and we say then you would have to accept that. You won't be so both claims would be in a sense at par with, even though they are only one can be true. So in that sense they involve tanaqud or contradiction or performative contradiction, as we said. Okay, so that's enough. Thank you.